Well, you mentioned these trials, and I came across something where you said that you were almost at a point where you thought about quitting music. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. I actually did quit for like a week or two or something. But it was a hard time. I got signed to Universal Music in Australia when I was pretty young and pretty inexperienced, and I didn't really understand what I was doing at the time, kind of thing. I didn't understand the scope of a record deal. So when things didn't work out the way I thought they would, it was pretty clear that I think I needed to be independent to really push my career forward, because I had so much material, but a record label really can't keep up with that demand. You know, they have a specific model. They have singles, you know, videos, albums, stuff. I wanted to just put out music whenever I wanted, similar to the challenges that Prince went through, and I talked to him about it when I met him and things like that. But because of all those challenges, the record label weren't interested in keeping me anymore. So I got dropped off the label, and from there it was a bittersweet thing, because I was happy to be free because I can now do whatever I wanted to, but at the same time, what other opportunities do I have? I didn't have any other opportunities, so I was struggling to grasp that concept of whether I should continue, whether, you know, the dream was, it's too far off, you can never reach that thing. But the person that made me, you know, change my mind was Prince, because shortly after that happened, I got a phone call, well, I got an email, and that led to a phone call from him, and he just basically gave me the biggest confidence boost in what I was doing ever, and more than anybody around me at the time.
What did he say?
I got an email from him, from his manager at the time, saying that he discovered a lot of what I was doing on YouTube, and he was really interested in it, and he wanted to meet me. Okay. And yeah, eventually I was back and forth emailing with the manager, trying to scope out whether this was a real opportunity or if someone was trying to joke with me or something. But yeah, one day I sent my mobile number, and Prince gave me a call, and he spoke to me on the phone. He just said, you know, I've been hearing about a lot of the struggles you're having with the music industry at the moment. I think you're really talented and stuff like that. He gave me a lot of advice on the phone in terms of what I should be doing to turn this around and actually be a successful musician from there. And after I spoke to him for about 10 minutes on the phone, he just, at the end of the conversation, said, do you want to come out here for a while? Do you want to spend some time at Paisley Park, which is his studio estates? And yeah, I got the chance to go over there and spend about a week playing with him, jamming with him, recording with him, rehearsing with him, doing everything that he was doing at the time. And he gave me a lot of confidence in what I was doing, and he gave me a lot of reassurance that, you know, it's a very hard industry to break. It's extremely hard from what he went through and things like that, but he told me ways to navigate it, and he gave me advice in terms of moving forward, so yeah.
Is there one thing in particular you can pick out that he said?
Yeah, he really wanted me to focus, instead of trying to be everything, he wanted me to focus on one thing for the time being, and that was the guitar, because he thought that was the strongest point of what I was doing. He thought that was such an advantage in terms of where the music industry is today, and my style of playing is not really around really too much, you don't see it too much anymore. That, and he really wanted me to, you know, inspire people in what I create, and be an inspirational figure to not only young kids that want to learn music, but, you know, people that have almost lost faith in music, like in terms of a lot of the older styles of music that older mentality that's completely fallen out. He wanted me to really focus on that, and one of the biggest, you know, advices he gave me was just, you know, just because you can do everything doesn't mean you have to. You know, just because you can play all this stuff and you can do all these genres of music doesn't mean you have to, because it's far confusing to people sometimes, particularly if you're trying to get to a place quickly. He just wanted me to focus on the guitar because he thought that was the strongest point, and that's the biggest selling point in terms of what I do. So he gave me a lot of like straight up realistic music industry navigation techniques. So yeah, and it worked, and it really worked. So yeah.
And in terms of well, going over there and jamming with him, that must, because he's himself was quite an underrated guitar player.
Yeah, yeah.
So was it intimidating for you to?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I was so intimidated, but he never made me feel like I was out of place. Him and his session musicians, his bands that were there at the time, they didn't make me feel like I was unwelcome or I was not worthy or anything like that. He was encouraging to me in front of everybody. He brought people into the studio to listen to my album. He kind of critiqued it in front of people, told him what he liked about it and stuff, and he gave me a lot of encouragement in their presence. So he made me feel like I was, of that caliber. And to be honest, I wasn't. At the time, I wasn't. No way. But he gave me a lot of encouragement to make me believe in myself that I can get there. So yeah, he helped me out a lot, and so much of his advice was hands-on. Like he'd literally take the guitar off me and say, this is a different chord inversion of that. You could play that over that, and he'd give me advice like that, and that really helped practically in terms of my songwriting as well. So he gave me a quick little masterclass of everything while I was there, and I'm so appreciative to him for that.
And on a sadder note, of course, he passed away quite recently. Yeah. So do you remember where you were when you found out?
Yeah, I was asleep, and then I woke up around 6 a.m. Just my phone well, actually, all through the night, my phone was just going off, vibrating. But I thought it was like something not important, like just notifications or something. But then it just kept going, and as people started waking up in Australia, it just kept ringing and ringing, and I was like, what's going on? So I eventually answered one call, and it was, have you heard the news? And I was like, no. And then the manager told me that Prince passed, and I was in shock. I'm still in shock about it. It's only been 2 months, or maybe not even. I'm still in shock of how to take it, because he was such a powerful figure, not only in my life, but people's life he didn't even meet. He influenced people in such an amazing way, not only through his music, but through everything that he did while he lived. He lived such a fulfilling life. So it was just a shock that he's actually gone. It was strange, because he was helping me behind the scenes a lot. I'd send him a lot of new music and stuff as well. Okay. So it was a strange thing for me to deal with, but as time has gone on, I'm just so appreciative that I got the opportunity to meet and play with him, and he was a fan of mine, and that's a huge thing for me to hold on to for my life. Yeah,
definitely. And then, well, if we move on to the music, because was when you went over to America and to see Prince, was Daydreamer already done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daydreamer was already done at that point. There was like maybe one single or maybe 2 singles released off it at that point in Australia. But the record wasn't out, but I wanted to show him, so I brought him the record earlier, so yeah. And
then, well, because that was it was released in 2014.
That's right.
We're now 2 years on. Are your sights now set at the bigger picture in that sense? On Europe, you're touring. You're having a little tour in Europe now, and is that where your mind's at now to expand your range in that sense?
Yeah, exactly. It's always hard because I am independent, and I'm working this with a very small team and stuff. So it's going to take some time, but I'm trying to reach out to new territories, and the beauty of the internet is people can spread my music like that. Mm-hmm. So it's really reaching a lot of places, and I've got the opportunity to perform at Pink Pop this year, and so that was a huge thing for me to come over here and stuff like that. So I wanted to put on some shows around that and see where else I can play, and because of that brings you more exposure and things like that. So it's really helping out in terms of people spreading my music and spreading the word of what I'm about. So I am looking at the bigger picture in terms of globally, and trying to reach the most people that will enjoy the music I make. So yeah.
Are you already focusing on new music or writing new music, or is it now Daydreamer and trying to spread that across the world?
No, I'm always working on new music. Yeah. I've got a new album finished.
Okay.
And I'm just looking at release schedules for that in terms of the world. I'm trying to get, as I said earlier, teams behind me in territories that can really help me break in that territory and things like that. But there's a record ready to go just as soon as I can find people to to help with the release and things like that. So I'm hoping it'll be definitely this year.
Okay.
So there's the second record coming out this year, which I'm excited about. So yeah.
Is it in the same lines as Daydreamer, or aren't they already quite some changes?
It's funny you should say that, because I originally thought it was in the same lines, but there's more branched out in terms of style, and it's a little more theatrical than Daydreamer. But just in the cafe downstairs from this place we're at now, they were playing the record, and I was listening to it for the first time in like 2 years, because I hardly listen to my music when it's done. And I was just like, damn, my new record sounds way different in terms of like, it's gone beyond that. Some areas there's similarities, yeah, but a lot of areas it's gone beyond that. I'm hoping that people appreciate that, because I really like developing artists and seeing a chain of development. So I'm hoping it's not too jarring for some people in terms of that change. But I think it's a different album. It has a lot more stronger rocks on the rock side, but it also has a lot more groove-based funk, hip-hop side, rhythmic kind of thing. I think it's something that's brand new, and I'm hoping that people like it. So yeah. And
it's still completely done by yourself at home?
Yeah. Okay. So I did all the recording, production, and I say like a lot, like everything you hear is just me, because I did all of myself. I think it's easier for me to work that way. It's a little hard sometimes to articulate ideas to other people to help with. So I do everything by myself still. So yeah.
Do you have an album title?
Yeah.
Can you reveal it?
Yeah, it's Smoke, Fire, Hope, Desire.
Where did the title come from?
It came from 4 specific songs on the album. Yeah. I don't want to reveal too much, but there's different parts of this album. I don't know the definition of what a concept album is, but to me there's a very strong concept on this album, so it could be a concept album. I'm not sure what really a concept album is, but yeah, I think it came from 4 specific parts of this album, and I just named it that. So yeah. Okay.
And I said a couple of questions before that. It was going to be my last question. I have one more.
Yeah. Cool.
I saw a couple of clips where you play at home live, and you have these paintings in the background.
Yeah.
Did you do it?
No. So that's not that's like a studio. See, that studio actually closed down, and I was sad about it. But it was like a art space kind of thing that I used to rehearse in. And it was a small studio that I used to go down to quite frequently, but that place kind of closed. But a friend of mine did all those paintings, and he was the guy that painted the guitar that I play as well, that a lot of people ask about. He paints cars, so he does like all those pearlescent when the cars change color. So one day he just asked, he's like, can I paint one of your guitars? And I just gave him one, and he painted it. So he painted all those artworks and those videos too, so yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks.